All that's recorded. Hey guys, welcome to Don't Feel Empty Inside Friday. Friday, don't freak out Friday. Yeah, welcome. You know the show, but there are some new people here probably. So we'll just go over the details real quick. Welcome, Urusai. It's weird saying your name, by the way, because that's kind of how you say you're being noisy in Japanese. Like, that's how you tell someone to shut up. Urusai. So weird saying your name, but I'll deal with it. So anyways, what this show is basically we go over the issues or, concerns that you might have in your daily life, or maybe it's sometime this week, whatever you're dealing with right now, or maybe whatever your friend is dealing with, something you would want advice on. And we basically just do our best to give you some friendly advice. You know, we're not psychologists, we're not police officers, we're not attorneys, we're not lawyers. We're not professionals in any of those things. However, you guys give us so much, and we wish to give back with whatever we can. So based off of the experiences in our life, we do our best to help you in yours, telling you the things that we wish we would have known a long time ago. So if you're dealing with anything, maybe it's a family-related issue, maybe, your dog just died and you just want some consolation, we're here to encourage you. We're here to maybe help you with whatever you're going on. So with that said, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Hey, Amira. Hi, Princess. Hey, Kendra. Welcome. Akil. So I guess Jeff and Jesse, you guys are here too. And Joe. Hey, Joe. CDVNL.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, how's it going? And everybody else lurking, welcome. Thanks for joining us. So yeah.
We need to give a shout out to Jesse. He's our producer. We also need to give a shout out to Princess. She's kind of our chat room hostess.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Chat room hostess. Yes.
With the mostest.
She's amazing. Yes. She helps keep us on track too. She's like, are you guys like about done fooling around? You gonna answer something?
Yeah, are you guys gonna do what you came to do, or are you just gonna kind of sit here and flirt with the chat member?
Like, it's like we're trying to have some fun here, man. You know, it's kind of how it goes.
It's important to keep the attitude light. People can put smile on people's faces.
I know, but
it's also important, more than just smiles, to help them through whatever their issues are, so they can maybe smile for themselves.
Yes, we got to focus too. Yes, you're absolutely right, Princess. Thank you. So special thanks for Princess and Jesse for all the efforts they have that they do behind the scenes to make this all possible.
Thank you guys so much. Amira says that they have an update about whatever their situation is, if we're interested. So yeah, Amir, what's going on? What's the update? How have things been moving forward for you and all that your life entails? While you do that, we do have some a log of questions, and a new one that just got posted by Kendra on the forums.
Oh, we do.
So we have forums. Let me just send you guys there. If any of you have a question, you can or a concern, you can just post it in the chat, or you can post it on our forums. You can sign up for free, and it's really the best way to do it, because then it's easier for us to get to it. And if we don't get it to this stream, we can get to it next time stream. We also, by the way, this is new, we have an email address that you can send it to. You can find that in the description below the video. You have an email address if you want to send us an anonymous question. Sometimes you have a question, you don't want anybody to know who you are. You're a little bit, you're a little bit scared to ask. That's normal. That's totally fine. That's acceptable. That's just the way it is. If you'd like to send us an anonymous email, we encourage you to. And we will do our best to get to it whenever we receive it.
Yes, the email address, I just posted it. It's easy to remember. dww@bss.studio.
Easy.
That's dww@bss.studio. DWW stands for Don't Worry Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. Which is what this show is. This is the Friday segment of Don't Worry Wednesday.
It's the Friday edition.
But yeah, it's the same thing as a Don't Worry Wednesday.
Right. Yeah. It's an amazing thing because it can be Wednesday every day with Don't Worry Wednesday.
It can be. That's true. That's true. And Wednesday is the best day because it's the day you don't worry.
That's right. And if you don't worry on every day, then every day is a Wednesday.
And every day is the best day.
The best.
Mm-hmm. Best around. Every day. Except for Sunday. I mean, you can't beat that day. You've got Sunday is probably the best day.
Yeah. So Amira says here, so I made up my mind about what I'm going to do. I'm not giving up on this girl because I still love her and I know she feels the same, but I am going to wait. That is very admirable, Amira. Mm-hmm. And yes, I always love the sentiment of not giving up.
That's true.
That's a great thing, to not give up on somebody. But yeah, sometimes there are things that happen and you just got to be a little bit patient. Mm-hmm. You know, we do have our whole lives, however long they end up being. Mm-hmm. So it's not like we have to make everything happen immediately. You know, there is the virtue of patience that comes.
If I was to recommend one thing for anybody during any struggle in life, if I was to wish and bless someone with any virtue, it would be patience. Mm-hmm. Because in any problem you're going through, if you just have patience, it's a lot easier to go through it because you allow yourself to take a step back and think about things logically. You allow yourself to not get overwhelmed by anger or whatever emotions are coming from the scenario. And you can kind of just take your time with it. And that gives you an easier walk through it. Of course, you still have to deal with whatever problem you have, which is good because that increases you, that gives you more virtues, that helps you to grow. But, you know, patience is one of those where I wish everybody, if I could wish for everybody to have one virtue, it'd be patience, because that is a virtue that really helps solve or helps you along your way with solving almost every problem. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It certainly does. There are challenges that I've faced that have taken years to unfold and years to repair. And some of them, it's amazing how sometimes the main lesson in some of these challenges is to teach you how to be patient. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which is amazing because I thought I was.
You know, I think we all think we are to a degree, but then all of a sudden, you know, I'm not patient at all. You know, when you have to admit something like that, I mean, it's time to be like, well, then shouldn't you work on that? You know, things happen when they happen. We don't control. There's so much in life we don't control. Mm-hmm. Pretty much almost 99% of it. We don't control like anything really. We control our bodies. At least to some extent.
Yeah.
Not all
Depending
of it.
on what day it is.
Yep. I wish I did, you know, there are things that my body does that it would be cool if they didn't do. But there are things I don't control that I'm glad it does. Like breathe. Mm-hmm. And pump my blood through my body. That's great. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but we control very little of our lives. So the more patient we are, the more ready we are to accept that, you know. And easier it is to move through life, understanding things happen all in due time. And to give that up, to give control up, really kind of moves us forward. Anyways, I love everyone too. Haley, you're amazing. Yeah, stay strong with whatever you're facing. So let's get going on a topic here, shall we?
Sure.
Is Cherry here with us today? If you aren't, that's fine. We'll save your topic for another time. Mm-hmm. If you are, just write down a message and we'll get to yours.
Yeah, so it looks like what we have Science Rocks. We have slightly above.
Yeah, that comes before because I clicked on it, but we didn't actually do it. Science Rocks. If you are here, it's like taking attendance roll call. This is weird.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Hey, was there one from Haley that we didn't get to?
Haley is amazing. Let's see. I haven't spoken to Haley in a while.
I know Haley. We did handle one from Haley recently. The Friends and Drama one. We did go through that one. I don't see one since then.
Friends and Drama. Since then, no. I don't see one from her. So that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we definitely have Kendra.
We certainly have Kendra is here.
Yeah. And Joe, in a way. Joe in spirit. Cool. Would you like to do that then? Kendra just posted this one.
Yeah. Let's do Kendra's.
Since she's here, let's do it.
Yeah. Here's the link.
Here's the link.
Let me go ahead and post a link.
And Jesse, I'm sending you the link as well. There you are. Okay. So this is from Kendra, artist22 on the website, who is an amazing gal. She wrote this. This is "A Good Friend Down" is what she titled this. She said, "A good friend of mine, Holly, is the sweetest person I have ever met. She is just an innocent cinnamon bun." Nice. Recently, sorry, I just had a thought. I used to sing this song. I'm going on a tangent here, but you'll enjoy it. So there's a song, I think it's something like, "You are a cinema, I could watch you forever. Action, thriller, I could watch you forever. Ooh-doo-doo-doo." Something like that. So I'm drinking a very thick beverage, so it's not working well with my voice. But regardless, so I always,
so
when I first heard that song, I thought it was a Cinnabon, not cinema, but Cinnabon. So, and a Cinnabon is basically a cinnamon bun. So I would go around singing it. "You are a Cinnabon, I could eat you forever." And it's just kind of weird. But anyways, she says this person is the sweetest person she's ever met. She's just a cinnamon bun. Recently, she sent me a message on Facebook. And she quotes, "Kendra, I've been going through a rough time lately. And just having you as a friend is making my college experience just a little bit happier. Thank you for being a kind, smiling face I can count on seeing every day." She, end quote. "She has often invited me over to her parents' apartment, but there are times when I can't go over because she cancels last minute because she isn't feeling good and I worry about her. I feel like I should be able to do more as her friend. And I recently read in a post of hers that our art teacher is trying to talk her out of watercolor comic illustration because he believes comics are not a form of art. It has put so much stress on her, and I want to be able to take that away without feeling like I am intruding. What should I do to help my friend? Kendra." Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Kendra. And that does sound, once again, you have a phenomenal heart. You are such a sweetheart. And thank you for looking out for your friend and wanting to help them. That's so cool. We appreciate that as much as they do. So yeah, Joe, what do you have to say about all of this?
Well, first of all, I want to repeat what Ryan said. Say thank you for the topic. What should you do to help your friend? Well, let's kind of unpack this a little bit. So, first of all, you have a friend that you've made an impact on, which is really awesome because you have this friend now, and you're making her life a lot better, which is great. It's zeroing in on this whole comic issue. The teacher, what he has is an opinion, basically. He believes comics are not a form of art. Well, I think the late great Stan Lee would beg to differ.
Yeah.
And last I checked, there was a lot of influence going on in the world based on the comics that he produced years and years ago. Mm-hmm. And also in the DC world, I mean, they're making all these into movies now. And so whether or not you think it's an art form, it's certainly something that people are willing to purchase or consume or whatever. They're willing to do something with, and they enjoy them. Because what's the point of art? The point of art is to, I think, you know, and this is just my opinion, so I'm going to voice my opinion. This teacher has a right to voice his opinion, and so I'll voice mine. I guess I think art is anything that moves people, anything creative that moves people, and anything can be an art. Cooking can be an art. Music is an art. Weaving can be an art. Running can be an art. You know, anytime somebody, yes, art is a form of self-expression. Thank you, Amira. That's perfect. One other thing also to understand about art is it's also a source of power. It's a source of energy because it can uplift the hearts of people, and it can also sadden the hearts of people. It can play on our emotions depending on how, like, the feelings that people get while looking at something. You know, you might look at a sculpture and think, oh my gosh, that's so majestic. You might just feel uplifted in your heart because you're looking at this thing. Or you might see a painting on a wall and just sit there and look at it for a while and say, wow, that's really, really amazing how they did that. Sometimes modern art, I don't quite understand, but these are people there are art connoisseurs out there that really get into that stuff, and they really, it moves them clearly. So art is a form of self-expression. It's also a stimulus to move somebody emotionally, to move somebody intellectually, any kind of way you can think of. And so a comic book certainly does that. I mean, you think a lot of us here are anime fans. A lot of them start off as mangas, which are kind of like graphic novels, which are long comic books. And people buy them. And I would think, quite frankly, if someone wanted to make a living as an artist, I think the chances with a comic would be way better than their chances just creating like single pieces of art and like trying to sell them to galleries and stuff like that. I think if you created comics and were able to produce a lot of them, then you would be able to, you know, move a lot more because it tells a story that's kind of like a book with art with it. And so it's very interesting to me because it seems like, well, let's see. I heard one guy who says he's got all kinds of PhDs and licenses and degrees and stuff like that. And he says, I've been educated beyond any point of usefulness.
Wow.
So a lot of times professors have lots and lots of degrees, and they get into this mindset of being an expert in their field, and they wouldn't be a teacher if they weren't. But also they can really get into their own opinions and treat their own opinions as very important. And I've seen that happen with many professors that I've had, where they think that whatever they think is just absolutely always right. And in my class, I am the Lord of this class, and you will listen to me, and you will put my answers the way I say them on these tests, or else you will fail, whether it's right or wrong. Whether what I think is right or wrong, you say what I think. I've seen that, and that's just pride. It's really simply pride on the part of the professor. It's not, I mean, we all struggle with pride to some degree. And that's a lot of times what people in that position succumb to. So it's nice to see that that you've reinforced that to her, Kendra. And it still can't hurt, though. Like you said, she was still down about it, and that's totally understandable. Because especially if you really love doing it. Kendra says the comics she creates are so cute and funny and just amazing. I told her that I would actually buy it from her if she was willing to sell it. It makes me mad that our teacher has said that. Yeah, it charges me up a little bit too, because it seems to me so obvious that comics, there's a huge market in the world for comics. Huge. So like, what if you're going there and you have you're trying to get an art degree. A lot of times people get a degree because they're pursuing something they want to do for a living. It would seem like if you want to do art for a living, you'd want to pursue a field where there was a market for it. And if there's a ready market for comics, which there is, that seems like a totally viable place to go into. But hey, you know what? This is just one professor at one school. Maybe you'll have a different professor next time, or maybe you'll be able to find a different professor. So I would say exactly what you're saying. Encourage her, encourage her in that. And here's the thing to remember. Oh, I forget the guy's name. There was a student at college. Well, there's been many times this has happened. I'll give a couple examples. There was a student at college, and he decided he was going to school, and in his dorm room, he was tinkering with computers.
Michael Dell.
That was Michael Dell, yes. The one I can't remember his name is a different one.
Oh, okay.
But this is Michael Dell of Dell Computers. He was tinkering in his dorm on computers and building them, and then he found a way to sell it. And he was selling computers out of his dorm, and he was making $60,000 a year selling computers out of his dorm. And the college said, well, we're going to give you a choice. You can either stay in school, which is the right thing to do, or you can pursue your little computer thing out of your dorm, but you won't be able to do it out of the dorm, because if you decide to do that, we're kicking you out of school. So he was like, okay, see ya. And then he went on to be the wealthiest man under the age of 30 in the late 90s. So like, he ended up being super wealthy, doing what the college told him not to do, what he got kicked out of college doing. He surpassed everybody as far as finance goes. Another one, a student, this is the guy, I can't remember his name. He turned in a paper to his professor. He had this idea, and he turned in this paper, and he had laid out the procedure for overnight delivery. Like, this is how we would do it. This is how we could set up the infrastructure to make sure it happens. This is how all this could take place, overnight delivery. That, this would be great. And his professor flunked the paper and said that is absolutely unreasonable, never could happen in a million years. And he took what was on that paper and created FedEx. So the professor was wrong.
Fred Smith.
Fred Smith. Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep. So the point of that is, professors are people. They can be wrong too. In this case, I tell you, this professor is simply wrong. Even though it hurts, he's wrong. And this moment is a test for your friend. All along the way, if your friend wants to pursue comics, there are going to be moments of resistance. There are going to be times when people disbelieve in what you're doing. There are going to be times when people criticize what you're doing. There are going to be times when people try and get you to stop what you're doing. And every single person who's ever done anything great faces a lot of that type of nonsense along the way to success. So she's on the right path because she's starting to get this resistance. It doesn't feel right, but that's absolutely the right path. Because now it's going to continue to happen, but you know the truth. She knows the truth. Comics are definitely a great art form, and there's a huge market for it. And I will tell you this, have your friend register at bss.studio and start posting some of that at the website. We would love to see it and encourage her along the way. We would love to absolutely just keep encouraging people to pursue what they love to do. And that's the whole point of what we do. We want to be encouragers. We want to help people through challenges, and we also want to encourage them on their way to whatever success and greatness they have in store for them. And I will tell you, she's on the right track. A little bit of resistance here, it's just a hurdle to jump over on the way. So I'm going to turn it over to Ryan and hear what he has to say, because I'm sure it's good. So Ryan, what do you got?
Thanks. Yeah, that was awesome, Joe. And so true. You got to remember, teachers are people too. Their words aren't more authoritative than anybody else's. However, they also have a heart. So you have to treat them that way. They need to be loved as well. And so it won't do you any harm. Well, it could do you harm. It depends on the intensity of the teacher. To talk to the professor and say, hey, so if this is an art, what do you call it? Also, you really hurt that person's feelings. And they're coming to school to get a job. And this class teaches, I don't know if you want to call it art, but it teaches you how to get better. So at what she wants to do. So, maybe apologize to her. It would be very bold to do that. But I'll tell you, you'd be surprised at the humanness of a person, of a teacher. Sometimes they might just go like, oh, wow, yeah, you're probably right. What I said probably shouldn't have said. If you find a way to come up to the person and gently ask them to apologize to your friend, you'd be surprised. They might actually do it. And that could totally change things around. But that takes a certain kind of boldness that I don't know if you'd be willing to try, because yeah, you're talking to someone who, I suppose, if they freak out, can like flunk you for no reason because they have that power, which is weird. But then you can take it up at the principal or whatever, the what do you call that in college? It's not really called dean of administration, and you can be like, hey, look, like this is dumb. So, and then they'll take it up with the teacher. But yeah, I don't have that type of boldness. That's understandable. Yeah, that's fair. Like, I wouldn't expect you to do that. That's something that isn't necessary, but it's a step that you could choose to take if you wanted to. Regardless, though, again, I think one thing you can do is, everything Joe said was awesome. If you could just share that with her, or even share this part of the stream with her and have her listen to what Joe said, she would feel very encouraged, I believe. And I'm sure she would also feel a sense of, I don't know, seeing that you're looking after her will probably make her very happy too. So you could do that. You could take a moment to say, hey, listen to this. It's like half an hour long, or whatever it is. But this is, this guy is saying some stuff to answer kind of what's going on with your current situation. Because it's true. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's obviously an art form. There's no doubt about that. And teachers, I think, especially teachers in his field, I've heard that many times before. This isn't the first time I've heard a teacher say to somebody, that's not art, when it's clearly a form of art. especially to anime or comics, things like that. I've heard it many times from many different teachers. People talking about it, people coming up to me and saying, "Yeah, my teacher said this about it, and it's discouraging." That's because their understanding of art is extremely classical, um, and they want to impose that classical thought. And if it doesn't conform to the classical identification of what art is, then it's not art. It's called, I don't know, modern art, which is not art. It's fake or whatever, which is wrong. I mean, because I had music teachers that did the same thing. When I was in high school, you got certain teachers, or in college, there are certain music teachers that classical music is music. Everything nowadays, it's not music. It's not music because it has no art to it. It's not technical. It's not beautiful. Blah blah blah. Well, that's clearly not true. It's just a statement that is their opinion, due to their own circumstances growing up in life and what they enjoyed, um, because it's their profession. They make it a big deal, and so it's a big deal to them. So in their heart, it's completely reasonable to say it's not art, but it is. But regardless, so your question here ultimately is, how do you help your friend, right? Here's what I would say. The biggest thing you can do to help, is obviously you can talk to them, encourage them, have this conversation with them. Probably the best thing you can do for them, outside of that, is just be a good influence by how you act in your own life. A lot of times, the best help that we get as individuals comes from being around people who have a good attitude, being around people who have the right idea about the future, who are pressing forward. Those people encourage us to press forward too, to have that endurance, to have that required, what's the word? Persistence. If you're hanging around with a bunch of people and they're all a bunch of quitters, it makes it really easy to quit stuff. But if you are hanging around people that are going out of their way every single day to be entrepreneurs, to really just do something awesome in the world, who are fighting for a future and who are meeting plenty of skepticism, criticism, and negative stuff along the way, trials and walls and barriers and issues. And yet they continue to be persistent and fight through it, because those things are going to happen whether you quit or not. I'm going to be honest. All of those things happen whether you quit or not. But people who are persistent and they stick through it because they've got a dream, they've got a goal, they've got a purpose driven for the world. You hang out with those people, and sure enough, you're going to find it a lot easier to just cruise with them and start fulfilling your own purpose too. You create that culture. But the way you create that culture is by being that way first. You be that way, and other people will follow you. People are attracted to uplifting people. People want to be around to people that make them feel good, right? I mean, I've said this many times in the past. I don't think I've said it in a long time, but the most important thing when it comes to dealing with people, the most important thing is not how you look to other people, but how other people look at themselves, right? If you make people feel awesome, they're going to want to be your friend. They're going to want to be around you more because everyone likes feeling awesome, especially about themselves. You tell someone like, hey, you make me happy when you're around me. People will go, oh my gosh, I'm a good person. That makes me feel awesome. And they're going to want to be around you all the time. It's as simple as that. So you uplift people with just the way that you act, Kendra. You do your best to pursue passions and the future, and be a good person, uplifting those around you, pursuing the good of others. And other people will catch on to that. They'll like being around you, and that'll create your own internal little culture of people. And they're all going to kind of get habits off of how you act. You pick up the habits of the people you're around. I mean, that's really the main lesson here. You really do. You pick up the habits of the people that you're around the most. So when you are hanging around, people, you'll notice maybe you start to take on the way that they talk, the certain words that they say, the way they laugh, or, their perceptions of reality, whether they're always negative and complaining, or if they're, talking behind people's back about people or gossiping, or if they're, just really fun, easygoing people. There's all sorts of different kind of people out there. Who you hang around, you're going to find yourself becoming a little bit like. So be the person you want other people to be like by being the person you want to become. If you just keep working on yourself, Kendra, and be around her while you're doing that, that's going to inspire her. That's going to change her thoughts about reality. That's going to change her perception on the world and her perception about this particular situation. If you can show other people that you're chasing after something that has meaning, like even if it's just as simple as I want to make people smile, or I want to be a holy person, I want to make the world a better place, and I do that in every single moment by how I act, like even that is good. People will see that and be inspired by you. So I think the best thing you can do to inspire your friend, to help her through this, is just do the best you can at being the best person you can. Take a moment, maybe after the stream or something, and just ask yourself, what kind of person do I want Kendra to be? What kind of person do I look up to? And how can I become more like that? If I had the perfect person, who would that be? And what can I start doing now to act like that person? Because here's the thing. If you want to learn how to get virtuous at all sorts of different stuff, if you want to learn how to become a better person, regardless of what it is that you want to become better at, you just have to start acting like that. It's pretend at first, right? I'm pretending to be this person that I'm not. Sure, because you're not that person yet. But when you do it, you're actually doing it. It really is you. And it's not actually pretend. It is, a form of acting. But eventually, if you do it enough, that becomes part of you. That becomes a habit. So with that, I think that's the best thing you can do to encourage your friends, is just be the best you can be in front of them. That will inspire them. And I don't just mean in front of them. Then when you go home, no one's watching, you can do all the stupid stuff that you used to do. Honestly, that's not good. I mean, it's not a good plan. It makes you feel terrible about yourself. I mean, obviously, and you don't like that. And plus it kind of, those will leak into your other life. Those type of things, those type of behaviors will change your mental state and your own, more than So, I mean, regardless, make your private life the best you can too. But what I'm just trying to say is get around her as much as you can. Be around her as much as you can and be the most beautiful person you can be while you do that. That'll be the most encouraging thing.
That's absolutely right. And send her to bss.studio again.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, as Ryan was talking, first of all, I was getting a lesson in Spanish in the chat. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Second, I was reminded of what, like, we had some serious conversations when we were starting BSS, and we were like, what's the point of doing any kind of art? In our case, it was music. What's the whole point? And it kind of gets to the whole point of communication. I've been known once in a while to use big words. I've got a vocabulary that I've been trained since I was younger that, I know a lot of big words. And you know what I found out? Using those big words doesn't help me communicate with people, especially people that don't understand those words. Mm-hmm. So even though I may be highly sophisticated in my vocabulary, if I talk over someone's head, it doesn't do any good for anybody.
Right. You're missing the whole point.
Right, exactly. Then there's no point. There's no point at all. And, you know, and it goes with music. Like if I have a very sophisticated taste in music, I remember this particular example in the martial arts world. We had this one particular instructor who, you know, for parts of the martial arts classes, they would have music going, you know, to kind of help our energy stay up during like the working out parts, you know, and stuff. And so most of the time it was, you know, a lot of upbeat techno dance music or maybe some rock and roll, stuff like that. Hey,
power metal is what I would have picked, man.
Power metal would be great. But, you know, hey, so it was interesting to see how everybody kind of had their little taste in music, but there was a lot of general just upbeat, trying to keep people's energy up so they could, you know, just have something to listen to while they worked hard in exercising. And there's this one particular instructor who had a very sophisticated taste in music, and he would play classical music during the exercise part. And everybody would just complain about it. And they'd try and get him to change it, and he wouldn't. He'd be like, no, this is actual music we're listening to. And
yes, it is actually music. Sorry.
Yeah, but so is the other stuff. That's music too. What you have is a prideful opinion, sir. I'm sorry. But anyway, so these are just little things. And it kind of goes into this whole story. I'm sorry to keep beating on this like a dead horse, but that's the point of anything, is to give it to the world so the world can enjoy it. And if you give something to the world and only a small slice of the people enjoy it, well, I suppose that's okay. But I would think if I'm going to create something, I would like as many people as possible to enjoy it. So I'm going to try and do whatever I can to find the people that would like what I do, what I like to do, and see if I can send my stuff into that crowd. You know what I mean? So anyway, it just is it's funny to me when people have an opinion and they think, well, this is actual music, like saying nothing else is actual music. But the stuff everybody wants to listen to is not your actual music. So I don't know. It's crazy, but we live in a world of opinionated people. And like Ryan was saying, he's a person, he's got a heart. You're a person, you've got a heart. She's a person, she's got a heart. We all have feelings, and we all have things we love to do.
We all have
if she loves doing comics, man, she should do comics. There'd be people that read them.
Yep.
I'm sure there'd be people that will read them.
Yeah.
So you're on the right track, Kendra.
Yeah, I see. Thanks for sharing the BSS link with her. Hopefully she'll post some stuff. We'll get to see it.
Yeah. And I see you posted up here something about your friend Alexis tells you that Holly and you are just rays of sunshine. That's awesome. Be rays of sunshine.
That's awesome.
Be excited. Be fun to be around and be encouraging. And you do that, that's going to be helpful, just like Ryan was talking about. That's going to be so helpful to your friend. Thank you, Kendra. So I did notice, yeah, thanks again for that topic, Kendra. That was great. Great way to start the show. I did notice that Cherry is here. She popped up in the chat.
Hey, Cherry. Welcome. We have yours. If you're still here, let us know. Yeah. Thanks again, Joe, for being such a great encouragement.
Who, me?
Sweet. Yeah. Oh, okay, sweet. Cherry is here. Cherry P.
Awesome.
Cherry P. All right. So, perfect. Then let's jump right into it, hey?
Yeah. You want to read it or you want me
to? Would you like to read it? You offered, it seems like, so. I'll let you read it.
Okay, I'll read it. Okay, this is the first part of Fate and Malice, the beginning of Fate by Cherry. And it goes, this question regards the first section of the Fate and Malice post, which I named the beginning of Fate, which I'll try to summarize as much as possible and get to what the issue with it was. And I need to post a link. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. So this one is a little bit of backstory. We they posted it on our Don't Worry Wednesday site, but it was beautifully long. I'll say that. It was beautifully long. It was like awesome. By the way, but in this case, it was like multiple questions and multiple scenarios, and it was very long. So we wanted to ask if she could, or Cherry, I don't know, he or she, I'm not sure, but regardless, could simple it down into segments and then ask them in different segments. And this is what they've done.
Yeah. Yeah, because seriously, like, and you'll see it too as you read through it. If you go and you find it on it's on the Don't Worry Wednesday main page on the website, and there's a lot going on in there, and it seemed like we could probably do a couple of shows on this one post because there's a lot going on and there's a lot to talk about. Is very, very well written and well thought out. A lot of introspection going on there. So Cherry, I really, really appreciate you. And I also appreciate you breaking it down. So, all right, I'll start over. This is Cherry, Fate and Malice, the beginning of Fate. The question regards the first section of Fate and Malice post, which I named the beginning of Fate, which I'll try to summarize as much as possible, get to what the issue with it was. Basically, I moved to New York, made some friends. Those friends moved. I didn't mention that part originally. Then I made new friends, met a pretty girl named Anna in a way that felt like fate, and fell in love with her. I got rejected countless times, causing me to go berserk, and I became overly obsessive to the point of being a physical threat to my friends. Then a girl online who went by the name Vamp, she wouldn't tell me her real name, saved me from self-harm. I think the biggest issue I had and still have with this portion of my life is that I too easily fall in love and get overly emotional with many things, especially love. When I find something I love, it becomes an obsession and impacts me mentally, physically, and in pretty much every other way. Issue: I don't know how to control my feelings, especially when it comes to love, and feel as if I need to be obsessive over something in order to be associated with it like I want to. So that is a very, very good thing to see going on in yourself, Cherry. I'm very impressed because a lot of times people have that as a blind spot. And for you, it's not a blind spot. For you, you actually have taken the time to see that that's actually going on. So kudos to you. And Ryan, I know that you've got some great stuff to talk about with this topic.
Thank you so much for posting this. It's really introspective. The way that you're talking about it, you definitely notice it. I love that. And the question becomes, what do I do? I have been through this, at least in part. I haven't been through exactly moving to New York and getting friends and having them move away. None of that. Regardless, I have dealt with the emotional hurdles, or the hurdles over emotions, and just in general, and learning how to control that and all of that sort of thing, and especially been involved with the scenario where it's like so easy to just fall in love with like every girl because she looks nice, or she even maybe smiled at me. Holy crap! Now I just, wow, yeah. She's like the hottest girl on the planet now.
She made eye contact,
and she eye contact at one time. I commented about her shirt, and she said thanks, and I was like, my socks were blown off, and I was like, whoa. No, okay. So, anyways, yeah. So here's the thing. This is awesome because, just like Joe said, you already know this is what's going on, right? How do you fix it? I remember one time being in a position where I kind of fell back. I had been going through a series of improvements, getting better. And then I fell in love with a girl And then certain things weren't working out right in the scenario. And I remember falling backwards in my emotional control. I remember falling backwards and looking in the mirror. I actually went to the mirror. I sat there in front of the mirror and stared at myself. I was like, Ryan, like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you doing this? Why are you, honestly, I was like, why are you being so selfish? You know that you're being selfish. Like, you just want these because they make you feel good. That's why you want this love. Like, you don't even, like, you say I love you, but really all you want is to hear I love you back. That's really what you're just fishing, you know? You're not even in love. You are in love, but you're not even like understanding true love here, right? You're just saying I love you because you want to be told that back. And when they don't say it, it feels like crap and you get depressed. Like, that's dumb, Ryan. That's real dumb. And so I remember looking in the mirror and then I was like, okay, there we go. So what do you do about this? How do you move forward? Right? Because that's the main question. It's not, I mean, discovering what the problem is definitely important. But then the question becomes, what do you do? How do you get over this? And I knew, so, I mean, we just talked about this recently. Habits. Holy cow, that's a lot of food. Habits. So Cherry, you might have been here in a prior stream where I explained this, but I'm going to go ahead and explain this again because it's so important. Subconscious mind. I don't know if you know what the subconscious mind is. I would ask, but I'll just for everybody else's sake, talk about it. The subconscious mind is the part of our brain where it records and executes habits. That's basically all it does. So things like riding a bike, learning how to walk, right? Those are physical things that we learn how to do, and we can do them without even thinking about them anymore, right? If you walk a lot, you can now walk and think about other things at the same time. You don't have to go, okay, shift my balance to my right foot and move these muscles so that happens. Okay, now pick my left foot up and then shift my balance once again to create a momentum. And then I'm gonna put my left foot forward and allow my weight to fall on that. So I got to remember to shift my balance again to make sure that happens. Like, you're not running through the steps super consciously when you're walking. You do that when you're a child and you're learning how to walk. But now you don't even think about it. It becomes so natural to you. You can just walk. And not only can you walk and eat and think all at the same time. You can do so many things, right? That's because your subconscious is that powerful. It is understanding all of that for you, and executing the commands that create that action. Another part of the subconscious mind is, well, other things rather that the subconscious mind includes in these habits are how we respond to certain activities or certain things that happen to us, certain situations. How do we respond? What's the emotional aspect of it? So our emotions. Also, what kind of things we enjoy, what kind of foods we like. That's actually not written into your genes. That's written into how your brain perceives it, which is a subconscious habit. And you can change those habits. You know that throughout life, your tastes change, and that's because your brain is slowly changing how it's thinking about certain things. And this also includes tastes like whether you like men or women. Now, that's a whole nother subject, but all of the things that you like, the way you perceive the world, whether you're naturally positive or negative about certain things, like something happens and you instantly think of something, oh man, that's terrible for me. What do I do now? Instead of, oh, that's awesome for me. This is going to be my chance to grow, right? I can get through this. Those are all just habits, whether you think positively or negatively about things. And so understanding that gives us a lot of power, because now we can say, okay, how do I fix my subconscious mind to start moving in the right direction? To get over this. Because your emotions, again, they're something that are called forth by your subconscious mind. It's a very powerful thing. Your subconscious mind, I think it's something like it fires at 2 billion neurons a second, while your conscious mind, the mind you do all the thinking with, is only like 1,000 or something.
Yeah.
Is that right?
1,000 or 2,000 or something.
1,000 or 2,000,
it's
yeah.
minuscule compared to the subconscious.
Yeah. 1,000 or 2,000 compared to 2 billion. It's a whole lot of extra zeros, a whole lot times stronger, right? So if you can get your brain in the game of programming your subconscious mind, you will be able to accomplish whatever it is you need. But here's the question. How do we program our subconscious mind? Well, we create habits. The way you do that is you just take activities and you do them over and over until it's a habit, like how you learn how to walk, right? You learn how to walk, all right. You did that. Good job. You learned how to speak English and listen to it. That's awesome. Now the next step is, what am I going to do to program my emotions? Right? So here's the thing. There's a couple of things you can do here. One thing is, I remember when I was looking in the mirror and I was thinking all this, I was like, okay, here's the main issue, Ryan. You're just being selfish. You want what you want and you're just trying to get what you want, and that's hurting you because you don't want something good for yourself. You just want to be pleasured. You want to have other people like you and love you, and it's not wrong, but it's not helping you. What you need to focus on is loving other people. Because when you love people, when you get your mind set on how can I please this person, your emotions respond to that concept rather than I just want other people to love me. I just want people to make me feel happy, right? I just want other people to appreciate me and to accept me, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's understandable and that's okay. I get it. But that sort of thinking is going to get you an emotional response that a lot of times isn't appropriate. But if you have this type of thinking where you're just like, I love this person, even though they're being difficult, even though they're not giving me what I want, I love them. And I just want the best for them. Because what is love? What is love? Love, love, baby, don't hurt me. Anyways, love is the desire for another person's good, for the best for them. You want the best for them. That's love at its simplest form, to desire the best for another and being willing to do what it takes to get them that. That's love. And if we can get in our minds that we want to love people, that will set our emotions up, on the right course. So the first thing we can do is start doing actions that are loving. Take time out of your day to do something for somebody that they didn't ask you to do and you're not expecting any reward for. So if you live at home, for example, do the dishes for your mom or your parents or whoever without them asking. Just be like one day, or maybe sweep the floor or do some kind of chore that you were not asked to do. And don't even tell anybody that you did it. And do it for them so they don't have to. That's a type of action that'll program your mind for the right type of thinking, okay? So those actions that are for other people. Another thing you can do, this is what Joe does, and I've done this before too. When you're face to face with somebody, just keep on telling yourself in your mind, I love you. I love this person. I love this person. I love you. Over and over. And it might sound silly, but if you keep on saying that in the back of your head, then whatever you respond with is going to be a lot more correct in design. You're going to be rewriting, because there are times in your conversation you're like, I love you. And maybe everything is going awesome. And you're like, yeah, I do love this person. But maybe they say something mean, right? But you've got, I love you going on in the back of your head. You can just take whatever they said that was mean and almost disregard it. You're like, they said that mean thing, but you know what? I'm going to counteract that with something loving instead of reacting emotionally mean, right? And so that's an example. Now you're talking about how you have this you obsess about all sorts of different things. And if you don't have that obsession, you feel almost like you're not liking it to the right degree that's comfortable or that's pleasurable. And I get that. I've been there before. That's because you have a longing in your heart, right? But that longing is not a bad thing, but I think it needs just to be a little bit tweaked, right? Make that longing for other people for their good. You want the best for yourself. The best thing for yourself is not getting what you want. Honestly,
that's true for me, for sure.
That are all sorts of bad for us. Yeah. I think anyone who's done a self-examination of conscience would agree. We want all sorts of different bad stuff for us. You know, I mean, we know that if we eat too much candy, it will poison us, but it doesn't stop us from liking it or wanting it, right? I mean, it's a true thing for emotions, for reality, for that desire of love that other people can give us. Like, oh, wow, that feels so good that, she said that she liked my smile or something, whatever, right? That's nice and dandy. But if you allow that to control your emotions, then you're going to have a bad day on most days, because they're not going to always be there to say, oh, I like your smile, or look at you, or make you feel loved, right? You got to try to figure out how to love yourself. That's the main thing too. That's another main thing. Got to learn how to love yourself, because here's the thing. As soon as you learn how to love yourself, then things start falling in line where you don't need other people to tell you that they love you to feel good. You don't need to obsess over things because you're not worried about how that thing is going to make you feel. Because a lot of times the reason we obsess over something is because we want to feel a certain way. And so we chase after it, going for the goal of a feeling, which is fleeting, unfortunately. Feelings are fleeting. They don't stick around. We can chase after this feeling like, oh, I really want that. I got it. I feel so awesome. But then that fades and you're like, now it's the next thing, right? And then you're on this endless chase. And most days you don't get what you want. So most days are bad days.
Right.
And then you might get it finally and you're like, oh, it was worth it. It wasn't. It's not worth it, because now you got to chase something else. So again, what steps can you take to get over this? You got to program your subconscious mind. You got to love other people, right? Try to focus a little bit less on yourself, focus more on other people. You do that by acting. So take time out of your day to serve other people without them knowing it, or maybe with them knowing it, but without them like giving you a reward. You don't seek the reward. You just want to love on other people and keep on telling yourself, I love this person. I want to love on people. Even if you don't believe it, do that. That'll start creating the habit, because here's the thing. We believe a whole lot of things, and our perceptions of the world are neither true or false. We have opinions about things, but they're neither true or false. But I can tell you one thing. Some opinions are good and some opinions are bad. We have a lot of opinions. But if your opinion is hurting you or preventing you from doing something great in your life, then sure, it's just an opinion. It's not necessarily wrong, but in a way that opinion is evil. It's causing you harm. And we can have opinions about other people and say, I don't like this person. Sure, that's your opinion. But that opinion is preventing you from having a good relationship with them. And that opinion is not only just holding you back from having a good relationship with them, it's also you holding you back from becoming a better person. So when we have those opinions, even if we don't believe it, we got to say, I want to have this opinion. I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to tell them I love them. I'm going to do loving things, even though I hate them. Right? Or whatever it is. If you start going down that road, my friend Cherry, then this problem should fix itself, because then you're going to create the habits to have that emotional control. Because this is the one last thing I have to say. When I was in high school, I had at a certain point of high school, I had no emotional control, right? I had never even heard of it. Never heard of emotional control, not realizing you could control your emotions, that was a thing. But then I learned about it and I was like, oh, you can do that? What? I had learned that being offended by something is your choice if you make it. I remember one day in school, I was being made fun of. And then I took this opportunity to say, hold up, I'm angry, but hold on a second. While I'm angry, what if instead of reacting angrily and lashing back out on this person or making a comment back or just throwing it to the wayside and walking away, rather than any of that, what if I took this moment to enjoy that person and make them feel good? That took a lot of thinking in my head, but it was pretty quick. And so then I laughed at their joke. I said, that was pretty funny. And then I took the joke to a next level. And I, in a way, insulted myself even more, but about something I didn't even care about. Because insults are gone in the next moment. They're words, they're gone, right? It's not like they are cutting me up with a knife or something, right? It's gone. They're just words, right? They're just a concept. So I took what their insult was and I just added on to it and made it even more funny. And we had a joke going on back and forth. And I made that person feel awesome. One thing that was interesting is they never made fun of me again. Another thing that was interesting is I learned I could control how I was going to act in that moment. And that changed how I felt. My action changed how my emotions were. I was angry at the beginning, but then I started to joke around with it. And all of a sudden it became lighthearted and I didn't care anymore. And I enjoyed it and I was no longer angry. It's weird, but that's emotional control. That's taking an emotion. As soon as you feel an emotion you don't like, now this is something I trained myself to do. I said, Ryan, anytime you feel an emotion you don't like, you don't agree with, stop in that moment and think about that emotion. Ask yourself, do I want to feel that emotion? Because you don't. Do you? Like, I'm feeling angry. Do I want to feel angry? No, I don't. That's not a good feeling. It doesn't taste good. I don't enjoy that. What I like, that might make me want to feel like I get revenge or whatever, and to solve the problem of anger, to get rid of that emotion. But that's backwards thinking. Why don't I just change the emotion to begin with? So whenever I received an emotion that I didn't like, whether it was anger or sorrow, self-pity, whatever, what do you call it when you have expectations and they're not met? Disappointment. Whenever I felt those feelings, I told myself to wait and think about those feelings and ask myself, do I want to feel those? Generally, my answer was, no, I don't want to feel those things. And then I said, well, then correct your thinking and then act on it. Because if you do that, you start programming your subconscious mind to have habits that put you in motion towards truth, towards self-growth, and towards happiness and virtues, which help you achieve happiness. So I know I said a lot. I hope you go back and listen to all that.
Yes, you should. There's a lot in there that was good.
This is an issue that I remember struggling with, as you can see, very, very, one I wish I would have known growing up. So, I mean, I suppose I'm a little bit passionate about it, but anyways, I'm going to let Joe talk about what he has in experience with this. And yeah. So thank you for listening. Sorry for the long-winded.
Well, I'll tell you, definitely go back and listen to that part again. And hopefully very soon, these will be all out individually again. I was doing that for a while. I'm doing it now. I'm getting stuff in production now. Just trying to get enough lined up so they can come out on a regular basis without having to stop again. So, but anyway, go listen to what Ryan talked about, because there was a lot there, and there's a lot of different things you can latch onto and try. And a lot of it has to do with your self-talk. And now you know how I am. I got to have a book recommendation for everything. There's a book called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. I think it's by Dennis Waitley, but I'm not sure. But the title of the book is What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. And it's all about having those self-conversations. It's all about having those conversations with yourself. It's like, okay, I feel this way. Why do I feel this way?
That's books. That's awesome.
Yep. so definitely look up. Somebody look up what to say when what to say when you talk to yourself, and figure out who the author is, so I don't have to be an idiot for the rest of this time.
Thanks, Jeff.
Hopefully Jeff's still watching. So anyway, but yeah, so what Ryan was talking about was great. Having those self conversations where you're actually talking to yourself, you're making those choices. That's what separates us from animals. Animals have instinctive responses to everything. They see stimulus, they respond. For us, the thing that distinguishes us is we have a choice. Thank you, Shad Helmstetter. Oh my gosh, I was way off.
Thanks, Princess.
Thank you guys very much. That is absolutely right. What to say when you talk to yourself? Shad Helmstetter. Get that book. Hopefully soon we're going to open up a bookstore on bss.studio. I'll just put all these books on there. That would be really cool.
It's a good idea.
So anyway, so upon other than having those self conversations, because sometimes even in that we can talk ourselves out of the good advice we're giving ourselves. Have you ever done that before? I know I've done that before. Yeah. I know I've sat there and I've had this conversation with myself, and I'm like, oh, dang it. I gotta do this instead. I gotta do, I'm having this problem. I gotta do this instead. I'm going down the wrong path. I gotta fix the thing here.
Yeah, but then you have that inside you that says,
the other side's like,
you don't need to do that.
But if you do it just this once, it's not going to hurt anybody. I mean, nobody's going to find out, and this is, it's going to be fine. It's not like you're doing anything. It's not like you're just stealing money from somebody. It's not like, it's just, hey, you just be fine. You just be fine. You can start again tomorrow. You deserve it. Actually, you've had a rough day. You deserve to indulge in this right now. And
well, that's awesome.
I have this inner conflict all the time. And so, but Ryan has this down pat where he can talk to himself, and he can hold the line on himself. Now, for me, I had to go a little bit deeper.
Why'd you think so?
You're fantastic at that.
I do my best. Once in a while, I'll fail, but
you are amazing. And here's a lot of the things that it comes from. Okay. There's one word, and we all hate this word. I know I hate this word. You all probably hate it too. The word is discipline. The big long D word. Discipline. And here's the thing about discipline. Now, what we're talking about here, what Ryan's talking about, and what he was saying was that's discipline of thought. You're disciplining your thought process. So that type of discipline is absolutely awesome. And it's essential if you're going to get through this. But any type of self-discipline works on your whole self. So if you need more self-discipline in your thought process and in your inner conversations, you can discipline yourself to get up early in the morning, and it will help you in that other area. You can discipline yourself to do a little bit of exercise every day, and it'll help you in that other area as well. You can discipline yourself. One of the things that I'm going through right now is disciplining my eating habits. There's a discipline called fasting, and there's another great book called The Complete Guide to Fasting by Dr. Jason Fung, F-U-N-G, and that has all of this stuff on how to get yourself into this process of fasting. And the reason is because the reason I would mention that in your case, now you don't always just jump right into a fasting regimen. A lot of times you got to like step into it a little bit and kind of like stretch out some of your times or whatever. But one of the things I've learned, and I read your question, and you talk about when you find something to love, becomes an obsession, impacts you mentally, physically, and in pretty much every other way. And that is so hard. That grips you and holds you, and it's like a prison. And what we're talking about, I think that love that you felt initially has become more of a lust. because where love is a giving emotion, it's a giving attitude. It's like, I want to give of myself to this other person for their best interests, for what's best for them. I want to do whatever I can to help them be the best person they possibly can be. Whereas lust is pointed inward at myself. Like, I want this person. I want this person in my life because of the way they make me feel. Like Ryan was talking about, I want to have this person around me because they make me feel good, and it becomes about my feelings, and it just turns into that type of thing, and that imprisons you. And one of the things a very wise man said, that because you've heard about the 7 deadly sins, maybe, of one of them is lust. Another one is gluttony, which is overeating. And it's been said years and years ago, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, they've talked about the connection between lust and gluttony. How those two, like, if you can get your eating habits under control, these obsessive situations here in lust can be way more controlled if you can learn to control your eating habits, which is really an interesting thing. They're all connected, and it's right. I've noticed how much that discipline has changed me in these areas. It's incredible. And when I started an exercise discipline, I learned how much that would help in my self-confidence, where I was like, hey, if I have an obsession with something, I don't need that obsession. I'm more powerful than that obsession. And it's because of the discipline of exercise. So disciplining yourself, I know it's not always easy, and I'm not recommending that you start all of these at the same time or anything like that. I would just say, find a discipline that suits you, that's an improvement on where you're at right now. Mm-hmm. And pick one and start doing it and try. And if you fail one day, it's no big deal.
No big deal.
You get to learn to forgive yourself, which is an important skill to have, and then start again the next day. And it's not a big deal. But the point is this is all a way of improving yourself to make you a stronger person, so you can be more self-reliant, and you won't be blown around by these emotions that are just driving you one direction and then the other and then the other. And it just, you can feel like you're caught up in a whirlwind of just craziness. And I don't want that for anybody. I don't want that for me or anybody I know or love. And Cherry, I love you. You're here. You're part of our community. I've never met you before, but I can tell you I sincerely love you, and I want what's best for you. And what you're going through here, it pains me to hear that you go through this, because I remember being there. I remember being stuck in those, in that type of, I don't have any self-control. I'm just blown around by my emotions. I feel like I'm just a feather blowing around from place to place. Like, I can't really have a choice. I was blown around by addictions. I had all kinds of different addictions. It was ridiculous. But so discipline, if you can find one little one, then that would be great. Another one that I'm planning on starting at some point is by a guy named Wim Hof. There's a lot of breathing, and it's cold therapy, which kind of freaks me out because it's all about like taking cold showers and like.
I have no idea that. Not one bit. Oh,
yeah, it's like so there's this really deep breathing technique, and then some exercise involved. It's not like super hardcore exercise, but then the cold, that's like the main things, like this whole cold therapy. Akil says cold showers get you energetic. You take cold showers half the time, Cherry? Hey, cool. I try. I take a hot shower until like the last 10 seconds, and I'll turn it down to like lukewarm, because that's cold enough. And it's like, and And I'm glad I learned the breathing technique, because that comes in really handy when you're in the play. It's like, oh my gosh. But I just watched a video of a guy who'd been doing that method for a year, and he said he didn't realize all the different benefits that were going to happen. And one of the things that struck him was his self-confidence level and his ability to feel like, hey, world, bring it on, because I can handle it. And when you have that type of posture and that type of confidence, one thing you got to be careful about is, pride might seep in. You might think, oh, I'm all that in the bag of chips, and the crumbs in the bottom of the bag too. And, like, you then you set yourself up for some kind of big fall at that point.
That's why you got to have love.
Love is important at that point. But yeah, so Cherry, I'll tell you, I understand this is a very, very difficult time. This situation is so hard, but you can overcome it if you learn to talk to yourself, like Ryan was saying on there. If you can learn to have those conversations and rationally go through these things and see if, okay, logically, what's going to happen if I pursue this course? I have asked myself that so many times. I'm like, okay, if I decide to do this, what's going to happen? Well, my marriage, which is difficult enough, is going to fall apart and be destroyed, and my kids are going to be without a dad, and it's going to just be crazy. I might end up in jail, and I'll probably lose my job. And I'm like, okay, but I really want to do this thing. Well, it just wouldn't be a good idea, because look at all that could happen. So if you can have those conversations and go through things logically, that's very powerful. Read that book by Dr. Shad Helmstetter, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself, and then pick a discipline, pick something, even if it's just stretching in the morning or in the evening, just something that you can do every day. And I also recommend, if you're going to start a discipline, get a calendar that you can draw an X in every day you do it. Maybe put up a calendar and write yourself a little note, or write something on it that says blah, 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 discipline, whatever you're going to do, stretching or exercise or whatever. And then every day you do it, put an X on that day. And before long, you have this big, huge, multiple lines of X's. And you're like, wow, I am growing as a person. I am doing this. And you've got this chain, this long chain of X's that's telling you of your progress. It's telling you that you're a disciplined person and you're having some success. And from that, you can grow and you can take on other things, and yeah, who knows where it can lead you. But you totally can. You can overcome this.
Yeah.
And yeah, just remember, if you love these people, don't let the world's definition of love, our culture's definition of love, is basically sex. Unfortunately.
Which has very little to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We talk about yeah, because it's just, yeah. Love is a verb. Love is a gift of self. Fulfilling love is making a gift of yourself to the world, to those around you, to the people you love, trying to help their lives become better. That's real love, and that's real fulfillment. And you can totally do it, Cherry. But definitely go back and listen to what Ryan said. The stuff I said, maybe, but Ryan for sure.
Yeah, sorry. Such a huge, this is a deep topic, and there's so much to be said about it. And I think, you've nailed one of those topics, which, I mean, is part of what the core of humanity, there's just so much that can be said about it. Mm-hmm. And so, sorry, it was kind of like a lot. I do have two more things I'd like to say. One, sorry if we seem a little harsh on the subject, telling you what to do. It's just that we're talking about ourselves, basically.
Yeah, we've been through a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. We've both been through this. And so we aren't trying to make you feel bad or say, you got to do this, this, and this, because, you're messed up, blah, blah, blah. No, we're all messed up. And we've all been through this. And we're all learning how to get through it every single day, getting better and better at it until hopefully it becomes no problem. And most days it's not a problem. But every once in a while, you still have temptations, still have to figure out how to, do the right thing, figure yourself out, and kind of not lose your way. So we don't mean to, be harsh. Another thing is,
was I being harsh? I'm sorry.
No.
Okay.
I just felt like
I super apologize.
No, you're fine. The other thing is, Joe was talking about fasting or creating a discipline. That's a really good idea. I know there's a lot of stuff that, you could probably listen to it again and get some ideas, but creating a discipline, something putting yourself through to become stronger, something you can handle, but it's not going to be easy, to learn self-control and learn self-discipline. It's so good. As a Roman Catholic growing up as such. Yeah, go on.
Incidentally, I see you posted your age, 16 turning 17. Just incidentally, fasting would not necessarily be right for you at that age. Incidentally, that's what fasting from food. Yes, from food. Because most of the time up until, we're 18 and we're fully developed, maybe even into 20, at that point, then our bodies no longer require the nourishment to grow and develop and stuff like that. So, but at this point, maybe lay off that one and pick a different one than that. So, sorry.
Or if you do choose to do that one, don't make it intense fast.
Yes.
You can fast lightly without making it an intense fast. And that way you don't cause your body any harm, or any stunt in growth. But anyways, growing up as a Roman Catholic, that was a part of the faith and the tradition, is fasting to some degree. And you can pick your fast. And that was beautiful. There's reason that exists is because they're trying to help you learn self-control so that life can be, so you can grow in that virtue that leads to happiness. There's a lot in the ancient world that they used to do that we don't do anymore because culture has changed and we've forgotten how good those things are. We didn't like them because they were hard. And so we've gotten rid of them. And now we're rediscovering, oh, they were hard, but they were helping us become better people. I see. So that's just kind of, there's so much in tradition and things there. But here's the one last thing I want to say. If you do decide to do some type of fast or some type of self-disciplining act, I think you have to make sure you get this one point right, or you will fail at it. You have people that create resolutions every year and fail at them. And here's the number one reason why. It's not because they're not good at being persistent. It's not because they're easy quitters or things like that. It's because their understanding of it is wrong. When you are having a fast or a self-disciplinary act that you are trying to do every single day, on the days that you fail, that is not a failure. Remember this. If you don't do a day, it's not like you've fallen backwards. Okay? It's not, because so far you haven't done anything except for move yourself forward. So on the day that you do it, sweet, you move forward a step. On the day you don't do it, well, then you stood still. You didn't move backwards. Okay? And so whenever you don't do it on a day, whether you forget or you just didn't have time for it or you talked yourself out of it, if you don't do it, don't treat it like you failed, because you didn't. All you've done is not do it that day, but you're still moving forward as a human being because you did it a different day. That other day that you did it is still helping you on the day that you didn't do it. because you took a step forward. And whether you take a step the next day, it doesn't matter. You took a step forward 2 days ago. And today is another opportunity to take that step forward again. Mm-hmm. When you don't take a step forward, you're standing still. You aren't going backwards unless, you completely give up. But really, you never actually go backwards because you've taken steps forwards. And even if you take steps backwards, you've ended in the same spot you started. So it's not a failure. It's not a waste of time because for the days that you move forward, at least you were moving forward on that day. Okay. So disciplines or resolutions or whatever, remember that you can't fail. It's all just moving you forward whenever you actually decide to do it. Mm-hmm. So don't ever beat yourself up. Don't feel disappointed in yourself because you have no reason to feel that way. You've taken a step forward on a day. That's awesome. You didn't take that step forward today. That's fine. You can do it again tomorrow, So just trying to remember that so that if you fail your fast or failure, don't beat yourself up and just try again the next day. And you've lost nothing. So yeah, I just wanted to say that because a lot of times we end up beating ourselves up into like, well, I messed up that day and I felt terrible, but
it's a very important point.
I can just maybe not do it again today. Well, then your thinking is wrong because you should be able to tell yourself, yeah, but then I won't be taking a step forward. And that's really the whole point of the whole thing. So I might as well just take a step forward. It's not that hard. It makes me feel good. So I'll just do it.
Great point. I'm glad you brought that up, Ryan.
Cool. All right. Sorry about that very lengthy and in-depth discussion. Hopefully you found it helpful.
Yeah, no, that was good. I really appreciate you posting, Cherry, and thanks for your patience with us.
Yeah.
It took us a while to get to it, and thank you also for paring it down. Yeah, looking forward to the next installment.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. Then we'll have another 7-hour discussion. No, I'm just kidding. It'll be that long.
But you see why, if we were to take that whole post, it would take a long time because there's a lot in there, that we could go on about and to unpack. So, it's very important.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much. We've got one from Amira and one from Pokemon Fan. Thank you guys both.
We've also got one from Science. I don't know if Science Rocks is here.
Or did anyone else show up that we've been waiting for?
We got Science Rocks, Magician Jester, or Slightly Above Average Joe.
Wasn't there one more?
Amira's was the update that we talked about.
Oh no, I guess maybe not. It was just Science. All right, that makes sense.
Okay.
All right, cool.
So.
Cool.
Excellent. All right. Well, so I guess it's Pokemon Fan then.
Yeah. Is Amira's just a life update? It has nothing. It's not a concern or question. Oh yeah, it was. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And Amira, you certainly can talk about something bugging you. That's totally fine.
That's what this is about.
Yep. Absolutely. But I will tell you, if we don't happen to get to it tonight, then sorry.
Yeah.
We'll do it next time. But yeah, why don't we do Pokemon Fans? Because he's here. And
yeah, let's do it. Pokemon Fans, this is the topic is why do others hurt others? That's a great question. Question is, why do people even hurt each other? Like I see it all the time. Why do they like doing it? This is sad. And that is what they wrote. That's all. So yeah, I mean, it's a great question. It's good to see that you are asking the question, first of all, but also that you don't like it. You're trying to solve it. You're trying to ask the question so that you can understand those people. I think that's super important. One of the most important things you can do in life is ask why other people are doing things. Because that will move our understanding of people which helps us understand ourselves forward. And that is such a great question. So yeah, thank you for asking it. You're awesome, Pokemon fan. And yeah, go for it, Joe.
Okay. First of all, thank you, Pokemon fan, for posting. Thank you for your question. It's an important one. Like Ryan was saying, why do people hurt each other? You know, in some ways, it's a great mystery. In some ways, you wonder why the heck, why would somebody do something like that? I mean, I was just watching, I came across on YouTube this, one of those fail compilations was like instant karma, where somebody does something and then all of a sudden something bad happens to them right after.
Yeah. Like, I'm gonna do this, and it's like obviously a bad idea, and then
right.
Yeah.
Well, so many of those things that they would do is something mean.
Yeah.
It was something mean to some other person, and I'm like, why would you do that to that other person? Because apparently they did it just so they could get on YouTube. Because then all of a sudden something bad happened to them. But there are a lot of different theories I have on this, and there are a lot of different things that I've learned about people. One thing, if you come across bullies, then what you have there is a person struggling with a low self-esteem. In Les Giblin's book, How to Have Confidence and Power in Dealing with People, he talks about low self-esteem means friction and trouble. So when someone's being mean to another person, it's probably because they have low self-confidence and they're hurting in some way. Now, that hurt may just be a figment of their imagination, or it may be a real hurt that they're going through a real challenging time right now, and they just don't know what's going on. And they have no idea how to respond, so they just respond with violence or anger or whatever, yelling, passive aggressive behavior, whatever.
As you said before many times, hurting people hurt people.
Yes, hurting people hurt people. As when someone is going and doing something that's mean to another person, I can guarantee you in their life they're hurting in some way, shape, or form. And what they've done is they've looked at that other person and they've seen something they're doing and it offended them or made them upset. They're thinking this person's doing something wrong. I need to go. I've taken it upon myself to be the universal police and go and police this action and give them their just desserts for what they're doing. So part of it is, they're taking action, which, a lot of times I advocate taking action. A lot of times I'm a big fan of taking action. I wish I could learn how to take more action many times in my life. Sometimes I feel like I try really hard, but sometimes I feel like I just don't take enough action, whatever. So when I see somebody going out and doing something about something, I'm glad they're taking action, but at the same time, I'm like, seriously, you didn't need to be mean. But that's because of it could be a lot of things. There are a lot of factors that could play into that. Sometimes, and I've learned this recently, sometimes it's as simple as a poor diet. The food somebody's eating is causing mood swings. A lot of times, stuff that's high in sugar causes mood swings. So you can see people just reacting because they're going through this dip and dive because of what they eat, because of the foods aren't giving them proper nourishment, and they've got this stress going on because their body doesn't quite feel right, and so they just automatically lash out. That happens, but most of the time it's a condition where they're hurting in some way. And frankly, I listened to some great recordings from this healing ministry, and it was asking, who out there is wounded in some way, shape, or form. And really, every single one of us carries wounds from our life, from other people. We've all been hurt by other people. We've all been hurt by the world. We've all been hurt by random acts of nature that just frustrate us. There are all kinds of things that we have no control over that we have been hurt by. And those wounds sit in our hearts. And sometimes we build up protective layers around ourselves to protect us from being hurt that way again. Those protective layers kind of become prisons to us. And we feel we need to lash out before anybody hurts us in that way again. So we need to, you ever heard the saying, the best defense is a good offense? Like, for me to defend myself, I need to go and be on offense and take action against this person before they can hurt me, because I am very vulnerable. And so that probably, Pokemon fan, that's about the best explanation I could say as to why. There are a lot of different reasons, but most of the time it's because people are hurting inside. And so that's what they do. They hurt the people around them. And unfortunately, we do it the most to the people we're closest to. That's, you look at life, and the people we're closest to, we tend to hurt the most. We care about them, but because we're in close proximity and we all have this human condition and we're all wounded, we hurt each other. But with all that evil in the world, there's also good. You've seen the yin yang symbol, I imagine. The light and the dark. Out of things that hurt can come glorious good things. Glorious healing can come through that pain. Even when someone hurts you, something wonderful can come out of it if you treat it the right way. So I'm going to turn it over to Ryan and let him talk about some of that stuff, because he is an expert in human beings, and he has so much wisdom when it comes from, don't laugh.
I said expert, and I'm thinking like, oh geez, they're going to think I'm a psychiatrist or something, psychologist.
Oh yeah, no, he's not a professional.
Yeah, I'm not a professional. I'm just an expert, apparently. All right.
He's an expert when it comes to dealing with emotion, because he's been able to control his own so well. And he knows so well about how to bring the good out of something bad. I tell you, there have been many times when I've talked to Ryan about something bad going on, and he will always spin it to something good. And he'll do it in such this loving, wonderful way. And I'm like, man, I wish I could do that better.
Last time I tried to talk to him about anything, he didn't even get what I was telling him, obviously. Like, I'm suffering, I've got all this pain and all this. He's just ignoring it. Talking about all these good things that are happening. I don't even, man, that guy's crazy. I get it.
So Ryan, take it away.
Yeah. No, thanks. I appreciate that. I mean, I do my best to be my best, but we all fail at times. But I really appreciate that. That's very kind of you. And I think that you do also a very good job at all of those things.
Oh, so, thank you.
You are definitely one to be a role model in those things as well. So I've
tried to grow in that area over time.
Awesome. Keep it up. So, it's an interesting question. I know that you went be right back. Hopefully you've paused it and maybe you'll listen to all this later. I'm not sure. But anyways, why do people hurt other people? Just as Joe said, there's a lot of answers to that. A lot of it is to do with pain that they've incurred. I look at, I've got maybe a slightly different answer on top of that, because it's true what Joe said. But I'll give you a couple more reasons, just so you can maybe, whenever you see somebody hurting someone, you can assess them the right way. or at least attempt to.
Mm-hmm.
One is, a lot of people don't mean to hurt another person. A lot of times when people hurt other people, they don't intend to hurt them. Sometimes people don't know how to act in a way that doesn't hurt somebody. Some people don't really think about it. Some people don't mean to, but they're not thinking about, oh, how can I say this without hurting them?
Mm.
But then they just, whatever they had to say just comes out and it's obviously going to hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not thinking about how they could potentially hurt that person because they're not concerned with that. And so sometimes when people hurt other people, that's because they haven't learned yet how to speak or how to do something in a certain way that doesn't hurt somebody. Because people are fragile, and that's something you have to learn how to do. We aren't born knowing or understanding how to, for example, say, "Hey, that toy looks fun. I would like to have it." Instead, we go up and we take it, and if they don't allow us to have it, we beat them upside the head with the other toy that we have, and then we take it. Like, you would look at a child and say, "Why on earth would you think it's okay to beat that other child up with a toy because you wanted their toy?" Like, how is that okay? They're not thinking about, how is this going to be okay for me to do this? They're not thinking about that. They're thinking, I want this toy. How do I get it? Right? So a lot of times when people hurt other people, not all the time, but a lot of times, their intention isn't to hurt somebody. And that's why it's always good to give people that benefit of the doubt. When you see somebody hurt somebody, especially when they hurt you, say to yourself, this person is just trying to do the things that make them happy. And they don't mean to hurt you. That wasn't their intention. Because people's intentions do matter. Some people are trying to hurt other people. Yes. But most of the time, most of our encounters in life, when you get hurt, the person's intentions were not to hurt you. Their intentions were selfish, but their intention wasn't to hurt you.
Mm.
And so remember that. And so that when you feel hurt, you can remind yourself of that and say, I don't have to be hurt. That's not what their goal was. They're not an evil person. And the most important thing you can do in that scenario is forgive them. Because that's important too. You know, a lot of times I think God, if you will, left the ability for us to hurt each other in this world as a reality so that we could learn how to forgive each other. Because that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Having the ability to forgive people and acting that out is one of the most beautiful, merciful, incredible things we can do as human creatures. It's amazing. It's amazing action to say, you owe me because you hurt me and you did me wrong, but I'm going to choose to let it go. Whenever we see any story, like a good story, when we look at the characters and we look up to them, you know, whenever we see a story where someone does something heroic, when someone does something good, or when someone takes a beating and then they decide to act out in a loving way, we don't look at that person and go, wow, that guy's stupid. Man, I would never want to be like that guy.
Mm.
We always look at it with just like, wow, I want to be like that guy. That's amazing. That guy's such a cool guy. Like he just turned that scenario around because he decided to be forgiving. Like that's amazing. You know how many anime are out there? Like literally, there are tons of anime I've seen where the main hero, his house gets burnt down by a villain. I'm not even kidding. There's multiple of them. His house gets burned down by a villain. He lost his family. He lost his village, whatever it was. And he knows, or he has an idea of what the culprit is. And his whole point is getting revenge. And throughout the story, I'm telling you, many anime have this storyline. Throughout the story, he resolves the issue, not by getting revenge, but by forgiving.
Mm.
And his heart suddenly feels free. And he feels like a better man because he's forgiven that person.
Mm-hmm.
And then he runs into that person later, and whatever happens there happens. But you know why that's a theme in anime a lot of times? because that doesn't just speak to our hearts and go, wow, that's so cool. That's what I was hoping for him. But also because that's truth. Our hearts yearn for truth. Our hearts yearn for enlightenment. Our hearts yearn for happiness. And that's part of what happiness is learning to forgive, because that creates a lot of other virtues. It doesn't just create the virtue of, oh, now I know how to forgive. That's sure, but it also creates the virtue of love, of respect, of understanding, of friendship, of so many things. Forgiving is a beautiful thing. So I'm glad it's in this world. But remember, that was one idea. That was one. I'm going to give you two reasons why people hurt people. Joe gave you the one reason, and that is hurting people hurt people. Or when you are experiencing pain, when people are hurting other people, it's probably because they're experiencing pain themselves. We need to look at those people and say, I'm sorry you're going through that, and I wish you better. You know. But here's two more reasons. One is the one I just said, which was a lot of times people hurt each other and they don't even mean to. It just happens because they haven't learned the skill yet of not hurting other people when they want something. The other thing is sometimes people hurt people because they think that's what's going to make them happy. A lot of the things we do in life are because we think that's what's going to make us happy. Pretty much every decision we make in life is because we think that's what's going to make us happy, because we're going to enjoy it, or because we think that it will become fruitful in the future. That's pretty much why we make every decision we make, at the very foundation of it. And that comes from many philosophers that have talked about the field. And pretty much it's unanimous. They all agree. I mean, some might disagree, but pretty much the reason we make the decisions we make is because we believe that will lead us to happiness, and that's what we want. Here's the thing. Sometimes we hurt other people because we think that's going to make us happy. Those people have the wrong mindset, the wrong understanding, but that's why they're doing it. So they might be doing it because they'll think it'll be enjoyable. It'll make them laugh to see the other person in pain. It will show that they're more powerful, which it brings about pride and self-enjoyment, self-indulgence, and be like, yeah, I'm better than them. I'm awesome. That makes me feel good about myself because I'm better than them. That's actually bankrupt philosophy. You're not in taking joy in being better than somebody else is not good for you.
No.
You should take joy when you see other people exceeding and excelling at life, when you see other people succeeding in whatever they're trying to do. And you should take joy in your own strengths and whatever you succeed in. But to take joy in being better than somebody is, again, it's bankrupt philosophy. It's going to hurt you in the end. It's not going to create the virtues in your life that lead you to happiness. And it will ultimately lead you to hating yourself and being a disappointment to yourself and so on. So yeah. Anyways, why do people hurt people? Because they think it'll make them feel good, because they're hurting themselves, or because they don't understand. They don't know any better. Or a combination of the two or three all together. And there are other reasons, but those are the main three. And so what I hope that you do whenever you see this is to take pity on them in a loving way and say, I wish better for that person. Maybe even step up and talk to them or help them out, or just love on them, make them feel good about themselves. Help them through this scenario, because a lot of times, just like Joe said, they have something wrong in their heart and they need that fixed. And you can be a person that can help fix it. Yeah. And you know the way. So you do know the way. You say, so you have to show them the way.
Show them the way. Yes. You know, it's interesting because it's an age-old thing. I mean, this has been going on since humans began. You know, it really has. So, well, since the original sin, I guess. But you look at why wars start all the time. It's because somebody wants something. Yeah, I want something. That person has it. I'm gonna go take it.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna kill people over it.
That's my land and I want it now.
Yeah.
Well, it's not mine yet, but I'm going to go kill for it. Yeah. Right. It's terrible. But that's why people hurt people, because they want something, because they're selfish. Yeah. That's going to make them happy.
Mm-hmm. But then they just want more. Then they just want more. Then they just want more. And you end up with a Genghis Khan or a Napoleon or, whoever. And they're like, I'm going to conquer the world. Or, they end up with these big people that just start going and killing a whole bunch of people because they want stuff or they want something the way they want it. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy ridiculous. But Ryan nailed it as per usual.
So did you. So.
But thank you, Pokemon fan, for the question. That was a fantastic one.
It's a great question.
And it does get to the question of the problem of evil, the philosophical problem of evil. And people will ask, why, if a loving God existed, how could he let these things happen, these evil things happen? And the reason is, philosophically, God doesn't cause evil. God allows it because he knows that he can bring a greater good out of it. Like Ryan was talking about, through the forgiveness and the examples of those animes, like all those animes that have the same storyline.
Yeah.
The forgiveness leads to a healing, which leads to a better situation than there was before the bad incident. Mm-hmm. So the bad incident was the thing that brought about the guy's choice to forgive, which made him a better person and made the whole situation better than it ever had been before. So while we don't go out and seek hurt and pain and evil,
sure,
when we come across it, because like you said in your post, there's plenty of it. Why do people hurt each other? I see it all the time. Yes, we all see it all the time. And we experience it all the time. So when we experience it, the real question is, how fast can we turn it around to something good? How fast can I, in my heart, forgive this person and bring a healing that's going to make this situation grow and flower into something beautiful? That's the real question. How quickly can you overcome that hurt with love?
Yep. That's so true. Because, people hurt people, and we're not going to ever fix that. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen on accident sometimes. Even if you're even if you never intended to hurt a single person, ever, you're going to hurt somebody. Hurt is going to happen. Mm-hmm. So the question is, what do we do? Because we're not going to stop hurt, but we can turn that into something more beautiful. So that's awesome. So anyhow, Thank you all for joining us during this Don't Fret Friday. We really appreciate it. We're going to probably close it down now, since it's about that time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Going on close to 2 hours here.
Amira, I see that you've got another question going on. So we will get to it next time that you are with us. Mm-hmm. And anybody else has a question? Again, you can put it in the comments. You can put it in the forums, or you can send out an email anonymously to dww@bss.studio. And we will get to it next stream.
Yeah, so here's a question for you guys that are here. Real quick on our way out. We are looking at streaming to different platforms. There's Periscope, there's Facebook Live, there's Twitch. What do you think we ought to do first?
Good question.
That's the question.
Do any of you have recommendations?
Yeah, post in the chat while we're going. If you have a favorite or one that you think would be best, we eventually hope to be broadcasting on all of them, but we're just trying to. We're probably going to do it one at a time so we can get the hang of things as we go. So yeah. So whatever you think.
I'm dyslexic.
You're dyslexic?
Yeah, Amira said Facebook, but instead of the E, she wrote an R on accident. It was a mistype. Well, she corrected it. But anyways, my mind took that to say farce book. As in, it's a book of farces, lies, and scandals, and so on.
Jeff says MySpace.
MySpace. Nice. Winky face. Well, we are a music industry as well. We are involved with that, so we could do MySpace. Anyways.
Yeah, because nobody uses their MySpace profiles anymore. So we don't need to worry about it.
Cool.
Yeah, but either way, I mean, we'll get to them all, but we're just trying to think of, what to do first. So I thought it might be good to just ask the group.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Which one do you guys like? Anyhow, thanks again for joining us all today. It was really good to see you. And so, yeah, we hope to see you next time. And until then, have an awesome lifetime experience thing. Every single moment of it. It's great. Just enjoy it. It's okay. You can do that. Yeah.
It is.
See you guys.
Special thanks to Jesse and Princess. Special thanks. You guys are awesome.
Jeff, who was writing on the book. Yeah.
Yes. And Static P.
And Midnight Rayla for existing. Thank you. Bye-bye.